I'm Elena Vargas. I'm 36 years old. Last Wednesday, I pulled into my driveway after a 10-hour shift and found a giant orange U-Haul parked right in front of my garage like it already belonged there. My mom was standing on the lawn with her arms folded. My dad was directing traffic with hand signals, and my older brother Marco was carrying a queen-size mattress up my front steps like he was moving into a hotel.
My mother looked me dead in the eye and said, loud enough for the whole cul-de-sac to hear, "He's got 2 kids, Elena. You're single. What do you need 4 bedrooms for?" She said it like it was obvious, like I was just renting space in my own life and the lease was up. What they didn't know was that every single camera I installed last month had been rolling the entire time, including the hidden one in the hallway I caught what the 3 of them did 2 weeks earlier while I was stuck in a client meeting across town. Before I tell you the rest, if this hits you in the chest, do me a favor and hit that like button, only if it actually means something to you. And drop your city and the time you're watching in the comments. I read every single one. Let me take you back 18 months ago when I closed on this house in suburban Phoenix and my family acted like I'd won the lottery for them. I started at Apex Engineering right out of Arizona State. 22 steel-toe boots that rubbed blisters raw, hard hat sliding down over my eyes. Junior field engineer. I worked my way up the same way I've done everything, showing up early, staying late, never once calling my parents for gas money or rent help. This house is a 4-bedroom Spanish style in North Phoenix. Red tile roof, stucco walls, a backyard with a little citrus grove I planted myself. Listed at $385K. I put 25% down from 8 years of bonuses and overtime. The mortgage, the taxes, the insurance, every dime comes out of my checking account. My name, my signature, my blood, sweat, and 60-hour weeks. The day I got the keys, I called my mom from the empty living room, still smelling of fresh paint. "Mom, I bought a house." Silence. Then, "That's nice, mija. Marco's having trouble with child support again. The kids need stability, you know?" I stood there holding the keys so tight the teeth bit into my palm. The ink on the deed wasn't even dry, and I was already Plan B.
My brother Marco is 4 years older, golden child since day one. First car, dad co-signed and paid half. First apartment, mom covered 6 months of rent until he got on his feet. When I graduated, they said, "You're smart, Elena, you'll figure it out." So I did. Marco's bounced between jobs, car salesman, warehouse lead, ride-share driver, now between opportunities again. He married young, had Isabella, 7, and Mateo, 4. His wife left last year after one too many nights of him unwinding with beer and video games while the bills piled up. She got primary custody. Marco got weekends and a couch at my parents' house. My mom blamed the wife, of course. She never supported him. Nobody mentioned the maxed-out credit cards or the fact Marco once borrowed my parents' emergency fund for a new gaming setup. 2 weeks before the U-Haul showed up, my mom called while I was stripping old wallpaper in the guest bathroom. "Elena, we've been praying about this. Marco needs a real place for the kids on his weekends. Your house has all that space, and it's just you." I set the scraper down so hard it clattered. "No, Mom, that's my house. It's not forever, just until he stabilizes. He's been stabilizing since 2009. Then came the guilt trip. "So, you'd rather your niece and nephew sleep on their grandparents' couch than give their father a bedroom? You're being selfish, Elena. Family helps family." I said no. She hung up on me. Silence for 10 days. No texts, no passive-aggressive Bible verses. In my family, silence isn't peace, it's reconnaissance. Then the Ring app started lighting up. First time, Marco letting himself in with the spare key my parents kept for emergencies. He walked every room, filming on his phone, opening my fridge, standing in the master bedroom, measuring with his eyes like a realtor. Second time, all three of them, Dad unlocking the door, Marco on his knees swapping out my deadbolt with a new one he bought from Home Depot, Mom carrying in a box of kids' toys and setting up the second bedroom like it was already theirs. I watched the whole thing from a job site 40 minutes away, heart hammering so hard I thought the crew could hear it.
I didn't change the locks right away. I wanted the evidence. I called a locksmith the next night, knew everything, front, back, garage, 3 sets of keys, all mine. Then came moving day. I was sitting on my front porch with coffee when the U-Haul turned onto my street, Marco driving, my parents right behind in Dad's truck, furniture in the back, kids' bikes, a microwave. They'd packed like it was a done deal. Mom stepped onto my grass and announced to the neighbors watering their lawns, "She doesn't need all this space. She's alone. Marco has children." I stood up, walked down the steps, and said it loud and clear so the whole block could hear. "This is my house. My name is on the deed. I paid for every brick and every mortgage payment. Not one of you contributed a single dollar. Leave." Dad tried the old key. Nothing. Marco tried the new one he'd installed. Nothing. I pulled out my phone. "Last Thursday, 2:17 p.m., you changed my locks. You brought toys for a bedroom that isn't yours. It's all on camera. Every second." My dad's face went gray. Mom started the tears, the big, loud church lady sobs. Marco kicked my porch step and called me crazy. I dialed 911 while half the neighborhood watched. The police came. I showed the footage. Officer took one look at my deed, one look at the video of my family swapping locks, and told them to get off my property. Mom cried louder. "She's throwing her own brother and his babies out on the street." The officer didn't budge. "Ma'am, this is her house. You need to leave." They left. U-Haul empty, pride damaged, public record trespass warrant filed that same week. The next day was my dad's 65th birthday party at the community center. I showed up anyway. Mom had already spun the story. Poor Marco, selfish Elena, police called on her own parents. So I stood up in front of 50 people, connected my phone to the big screen, and played the Thursday footage for everyone. You could hear a pin drop.
My aunt whispered, "Donna, you told me she agreed." My uncle looked at my mom like he'd never seen her before. Marco grabbed the kids and left without a word. The cake stayed uncut. 3 months later, Marco's in a 1-bedroom apartment he actually pays for himself. He's been at the same auto shop for 14 weeks straight, longest he's ever kept a job. He texts the kids' school pictures sometimes. No demands, just pictures. My mom still hasn't apologized, but the long guilt texts have stopped. The family group chat is quiet for the first time in years. My dad sent me a photo last week, a little wooden bench he built in his garage. No caption. I saved it. Maybe one day we'll talk about it. Maybe not. I still sit on my porch most evenings. The cameras are still rolling, the door stays locked, and for the first time in my life, that doesn't feel sad. It feels safe. If your family has ever treated your no like a negotiation or looked at everything you built and saw only what they could take, you're not alone. Drop one word in the comments, boundary or guilt. Which one are you choosing right now? And if this story made you feel a little stronger, share it with someone who needs to hear that their home is theirs, not a family resource. This is my house. This is my life, and I'm finally living it on my own terms. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.